wants to sue the cops. To figure out how to get it to go to court and have the judge order the cops to give it back. And then it took me 3 years suing the cops.
Did Christian still have that money?
Because I lost.
I don't think he gave it to me.
Yeah, I know they smoked it.
Christian!
It's going to be, ultimately it's going to be Chris or whoever he sends involved in making the complex cost. I'm not running the whole case here in Toronto. I'm just,
It's still going on?
At the moment, I'm just acting as an agent on
court
behalf.
is done for today, it looks like. As far as I know, Aaron and Pete both got the same conditions. It looks like they're not allowed back at Cannabis Culture. So it looks like both Erin Goodwin and Peter Melanson, both of them got the same conditions. Neither of them are allowed back at both of the Cannabis Culture locations in Toronto, so that's 801 Queen Street West and 711 Queen Street East. Something else that was kind of interesting that the judge said is that they're not allowed to attend dispensaries unless they're filling their personal scripts, which is very interesting in and of itself because in order to do that, you're going into an illegal place. So I kind of want to know exactly how that one works. Not to mention the fact that if you're supposed to be ordering from a licensed producer and your licensed producer only has maybe sativa dominant cannabis, what are you supposed to be doing for the indica dominant cannabis? Where do you get that from? We're only allowed to be signed up, I guess, with one Health Canada licensed producer. So what are we supposed to do for the rest of it? What are we supposed to do for our derivative forms of cannabis? What if your cannabis licensed producer only has dried cannabis and you're somebody who needs that Phoenix Tears during the day or the capsules or cookies to help you sleep? What are you supposed to do? So I thought that a lot of the way that they created, that the Crown created the ruling was arbitrary in a sense, in some senses, and unfair in other senses. Another thing they also said was that ultimately that Erin and Pete aren't allowed to work at a dispensary in the future again. So, I mean, it's ridiculous. The whole thing's absolutely ridiculous. I was laughing in the courtroom. The lawyer was laughing in the courtroom. The judge wanted nothing to do with it. You could tell she was so lost in it. I mean, and like, how are you supposed to, I mean, she said on one hand, she contradicted herself. How do you attend a marijuana dispensary, but you're not allowed to attend marijuana dispensaries? It's a contradiction of itself, in and of itself, and it doesn't make any sense. So I'm going to leave that one up to you guys. Think about it, and hopefully this Project Claudia stuff will be coming to an end. As far as I've been told, the different 55 division and other departments in Toronto have been told to keep enforcing the law as it stands, but as far as I'm concerned, since we've had this Trudeau government, it's been more and more arrests than I've ever seen before. And I want to see this stop. I want to see our tax dollars put to better places. I am David. I'm the Kosher Cronnoisseur. You can check me out on Instagram or online.
Because our lawyer came up to us like a half hour ago and said, he talked to the Crown and they actually have a weird position that normally in a case like this, they would do what's called a 524, which is cancel the previous bail, combine all charges, and then have a new bail application. But they didn't want that. And then normally you'd have to get another surety or possibly now two sureties, and whatever you paid before is now doubled, and they would double conditions. They only wanted $500 cash bail this time, where Erin had a $2,500 surety last night. So it's all very strange. The Crown also wanted a condition that said Erin and Pete cannot attend any marijuana dispensary. Our lawyer argued that that's unfair and that they have a right to go in them. They're medical marijuana users. So the judge, I guess, gave in and allowed them. So they're only prohibited from going to the two that they were arrested at, 801 Queen West, 711 Queen East. But otherwise, they can attend at any other marijuana dispensary. So it's very strange. Very strange. So, I'm on very limited sleep. I've been yawning for the last hour. This is my first puff of a joint. I woke up at like 6:30 a.m. this morning. And it's been a long day, obviously. I didn't get much sleep last night, neither did Erin, I suspect. And even Jodie had a similar post on her Twitter when she landed. She's like, a very extremely uncomfortable flight, but I'll bet you Pete and Erin were more uncomfortable. So, you kind of got to put it in retrospective of the people we're supporting, right? Even though we have some discomfort here, they had it worse. And so, but I'm glad to see that. I was also on AM 640 yesterday, and one of the things Jim Richards asked me was, like after I said, I think it is actually getting more lenient, he says, how so? They're still raiding. Well, you know, they raided 46 in one day, and then they raid 3, and then they raid another 3, and so, and with stuff like this, like usually at the police level, they're pretty harsh, right? They arrest you and give you all sorts of charges, but then you get into court and judges don't seem to care. Crowns don't seem to care. So it's a very strange, you know, situation we're in right now. They say that there's no legal gray area, but clearly there is, you know, clearly like, you know, we don't have any legal protection to, you know, we don't have licenses yet or anything, but we do have some court protection. They are, you know, honoring some of, you know, the jurisprudence that we've been accustomed to, which is that you don't need to go pretty, you know, very harshly on marijuana users of the cannabis culture. So, I don't know.
Are they still in there?
Yes, they could have walked out right from the box.
If you had the money in your hand.
But we didn't.
Just put it right at the judge and out they go.
Almost like a movie where they bring in the people start walking in with things of money. Billy wanted us to pay in like pennies or quarters or something.
Paying quarters, they had the bank will give you $500 in rolled quarters. You pay for them in quarters, and there they have to unroll them quarters and count every single quarter, which will take them forever. They'd be pissed at you, but they still have to take it. If they refuse, it's wrong for them if they refuse to take it because it's currency. Even if it's still pennies. Pennies are still legal currency in Canada. So even if you want to pay in pennies, as long as they're rolled, they have to take them.
You're just working on your Facebook.
Well, I tried to post it while I was in court. Now more happened, so I should have added more. But I originally put like update, the Crown, you know, our lawyer talked to the Crown, yada, yada, yada. And I finally just posted it. I guess it didn't work while we were down in the basement. I switched from LTE to like whatever, and it just didn't post or something. I don't know. So that was a post from 45 minutes ago, so it's not updated exactly. Now, of course, now they got bail. They went through their bail review, and they were given the $500 cash bail. And I wasn't expecting the judge I was in the back of the courtroom, and the judge asked me to go up and answer some stupid questions about our personal status, and she asked me if I worked anywhere else other than the marijuana industry, and I haven't. The last job I had was the Canadian Federation for Cerebral Palsy. I was driving a truck back in 2002, I believe, is the last job outside of the marijuana industry that I've had. Ever since 2003, I haven't had a single other, job. I've made all my income from the marijuana movement, and it's not very much. I only need $25,000-$30,000 a year to live. That's all I need. Everything else I've ever made up in smoke, I've dedicated, $50,000 to $100,000 a year in activism. So I don't know. It's never really mattered to me either what kind of employment I had. I've always just wanted to generate enough income that we can effectively have some, high-strength activism, some big protests, some, I'm getting another call.
Oh my God. Hold on. Convenience store? Anyone? Butane? Anyone?
Naomi.
Gotta be careful with that too.
I was very impressed by the judge. She was no nonsense. She only dealt with what was in front of her, which made far more sense. And basically the bail conditions were changed because it was inhumane to leave a man who needed marijuana for his medical condition with no access to said marijuana. So she allowed him access to all the other illegal dispensaries and the illegal cannabis culture he's not allowed to go in. I think it's just, this is just money making. Estimate how much from 9 to noon, $500 an hour for the judge. Go on down, $250, $350 an hour for the lawyers. The cops are making $60 to how much an hour? The court reporter might be the lowest one. And after you get out of the court, then you got all those people working in the bail system. All that money is all those employees is going to be halved. once all these marijuana cases are no longer presented before the court, what are they going to do with all these people? Our crime rate is going to diminish. Like, you're not going to have brawls because people are going to be happy. They're not going to be fighting. There's not going to be car crashes like there used to be because people will be able to get stoned and drive safely. Not alcohol. Don't mix the two. And they won't be driving drunk because if they smoke while drinking, they'll vomit. And then they can't drive home. That's my opinion. Over and out.
So what's going on here today?
I'm here awaiting Erin Goodwin and Pete Melanson's release from jail, from custody, where they spent the night after being arrested yet again by Toronto police at our Cannabis Culture shop, this time at the East location instead of the West location. Of course, this meant I was very concerned that they wouldn't get out on bail, but thankfully they are getting out. That's such a relief. It's the biggest relief today. And our store has reopened. I went there and made sure we reopened. We had a press conference there. There's no power yet because the police cut it off, but we're bringing in generators and we will have our doors open for everyone all day. There are already people lined up and going in right now. So we refuse to stop. We refuse to be bullied. It's unjust and it's unfair and it's discriminatory and cruel and a waste of resources to continue harming harmless people with a law that does far more harm than cannabis ever could.
Just because medical people need to use the mail.
Yeah, exactly.
The mail is very unsafe. It's like you don't see people using the mail to get PMS pills or whatever kind of pills, whatever kind of medication that doctor prescribes. Why is cannabis the only medicine that needs to be delivered through the mail? Which takes, what, 3 weeks sometimes? If you think about it, you're sending the money out to somebody, it's got to be a check, got to be certified, got to be money or whatever, and then you're waiting for them to send it back, hoping that it's really, really good stuff when it turns out to be crap.
Citizens need supply and they need freedom from the threat of arrest, and we believe that everyone, healthy and sick, has the right to access cannabis, especially as preventative use or social use or whatever personal reason you've got. We don't believe in prying into your personal details because you have the freedom to choose what to put in your own body, and cannabis does not cause harm, whereas a lot of legal stuff does cause a lot of harm. So we really feel passionately about providing access and protesting the discrimination and the persecution that turns so many millions of Canadians and citizens around the world into criminals and second-class citizens just because they love and use cannabis.
And so you flew out last night?
I flew out last night, 11 p.m., landed at 7 a.m. this morning, so haven't had any sleep, I haven't showered, but hey, I'm sure it's not that bad compared to what a lot of people go through, and every moment of discomfort I've had, I just keep thinking, at least I'm not in jail, like our very brave, very awesome, inspiring activist friends, Erin and Pete.
And are you seeing any differences between Toronto and Vancouver?
The Toronto police are still raiding and carrying out arrests, whereas we haven't seen any raids by Vancouver police in quite a long time. Now, that's probably because Toronto is much bigger, there are different districts and regions and all that, but really the arbitrary enforcement demonstrates how unfair the policy is. If you're going to arrest somebody, you need to arrest everybody. It's either one or the other, not in between. And we don't want them to arrest everybody, we'd like them to arrest nobody, so that's the end goal.
Just keeping it safe.
And so with the recent raid, was there many arrests or was it just Erin and Pete? Or?
At this Cannabis Culture location, we had 4 arrests. 2 of them were charged and let go, and 2 were held overnight, Pete and Erin.
And so that's, I guess we're just waiting for them now.
Just waiting for them to come through those doors, hopefully very soon. Or we'll be going in, it's almost 1 o'clock, and I think that's when we go in to do paperwork and get them out. Awesome.
And where is the Cannabis Culture?
Well, Cannabis Culture East is on Queen Street East at 711 Queen Street East. We've also got our first shop we opened out here at 801 Queen Street West. And stay tuned for even more Cannabis Culture locations in Toronto soon.
And could you introduce yourself?
I'm Jodie Emery. I'm the owner of Cannabis Culture and Pot TV. I'm an activist, a politician of sorts, definitely a loudmouth when it comes to it, but that's because I believe very passionately in what I do and what I believe in, and that's freedom for all cannabis people. Oh, yes.
this lump of
Weed or
and
whatever.
I didn't even know how to roll it.
Afghani.
Almost sparkly.
It's a rock,
Yeah, what do you get
I can just tell by the
Whoa,
look of it.
Somebody wants-
so dense.
right?
But the ones that I like,
Right? Just boom.
It was my time.
We'll get one for Pete
Do
too.
you need water? I got some like lukewarm water. Do you want?